Someone's heart remembers you. The body reveals it before the mouth speaks. Energy does not lie. Even when a man tries to control his words, his gestures, his expressions, still something escapes. The truth of longing always leaves a trace. Let us reflect together on the ways this truth quietly appears. When you look closely at life, you discover something very simple yet very profound. The eyes reveal the truth before the lips do. A man may attempt to guard his words. He may attempt to disguise his feelings, but his eyes will still betray the movements of his heart. They rest upon what they long for. They seek what the heart remembers. The gaze always returns to where affection lives, like a bird that, no matter how far it travels, still circles back to its nest. If you have ever entered a room full of people and felt someone's gaze linger on you, you already understand. It is not loud, it is not announced, but it is undeniable. The eyes cannot be trained to lie for long. Even warriors, trained to keep discipline, reveal themselves in their gaze. A teacher can always see which student has drifted into distraction simply by looking into their eyes. And in the same way, you can see when a man's eyes hold the quiet remembrance of you. This is why awareness is so important. Many people move through life inattentively, so they miss these subtle signs. They hear words but do not notice pauses. They see gestures but do not study direction. They receive attention but do not recognize the softness behind it. Yet awareness sharpens perception. When you walk into a room with mindfulness, you begin to notice not only the noise, but the silence beneath it. Not only the words, but the gaze that accompanies them. When a man misses you, you may notice that his eyes linger in ways he does not intend. They search for you, sometimes without him realizing. He might look away quickly when caught, yet in the next moment, his gaze returns. It is a rhythm of longing, approach, retreat, approach again. Like the tide, the eyes return to the shore of the heart, and you, if you are present, will feel it. You do not need to ask, because energy speaks through the eyes even before the voice. There is a saying among the old masters: the body is the servant of the heart, and the eyes are the messengers. When the heart is restless, the eyes reveal it first. This is why in meditation, we lower the gaze, we soften it, not because we are ashamed, but because we are training the eyes not to wander with every restless impulse of the heart. But in relationships, when affection is real, you will see the opposite. The gaze is drawn over and over again toward the one who is missed. And yet, it is not only the eyes that speak. The entire energy of a man changes when longing is present. Energy is something subtle, but once you become sensitive to it, you cannot ignore it. Imagine entering a room where two people have just argued. Even if you heard nothing, you would feel the tension. Or imagine walking into a space where people are laughing sincerely. You immediately feel lifted. This is energy. It cannot be hidden because it radiates from within. When a man misses you, his energy vibrates differently. He may appear composed. He may say nothing, but the air between you becomes charged. You notice restlessness in his movements, an unspoken brightness in his presence, or a sudden stillness when you arrive. Sometimes the energy feels unsettled, as if he is not entirely at ease. This is because longing creates a small disturbance in the flow of the body. It is like a river carrying an extra current beneath its surface. In martial training, we learn to sense energy not by sight, but by presence. When sparring, you can close your eyes and still feel the movement of your partner through the shifts in air, the vibrations of footsteps, the rhythm of breath. In the same way, you can learn to sense when someone's energy shifts because of you. Even without direct words, the current of longing creates ripples that are easy to notice for those who live with awareness. But here is the difficulty. Many people doubt their own perception. They think, Perhaps I imagined it. Perhaps I am reading too much into it. And so they ignore what they felt. But the truth is, your body knows before your mind does. Energy is felt in the skin, in the stomach, in the rhythm of your own heartbeat. It is not something to explain, it is something to sense. If you train your awareness, you will recognize when another person's energy is directed toward you. It is much like standing near a fire. Even if no words are spoken, even if the fire is hidden behind a wall, you will still feel its warmth. Longing is a fire, and when someone misses you, that warmth, or sometimes that restless heat, will reach you, no matter how carefully they try to conceal it. There is another place where truth escapes, even when words are carefully chosen. It is in the stillness between words. A man may say he is fine. He may say he does not think of you. But then a pause follows, and within that pause, everything unsaid becomes louder than the words themselves. Silence is not empty, it is full. In Zen practice, the pause between breaths is just as important as the breath itself. When you inhale, there is fullness. When you exhale, there is release. But between the inhale and the exhale, there is a moment of stillness. In that stillness, the truth of the mind appears. If the mind is restless, that pause feels heavy. If the mind is calm, the pause feels light. And when a man misses you, the pause between his words becomes weighted. It carries the energy of what he does not say. Think of a conversation where someone says your name, then falls silent for just a moment too long. That pause contains emotion, hesitation, longing, memory. The silence reveals what the voice is not ready to admit. And yet, if you are attentive, you feel it. You do not need confirmation because the truth is already there, hidden in the space between sounds. In daily life, we often overlook this. We rush to respond. We fill the silence. We move quickly past it. But if you wish to see clearly, do not fear silence. Let it unfold. Watch what it carries. The stillness between words is like the still surface of water. It reflects everything that is above it. And if longing is present, you will see its reflection there. When you put all of this together, the gaze that lingers, the energy that vibrates, the silence that grows heavy, you begin to see a picture that no words can fully disguise. A man may attempt to appear strong, indifferent, or distant. He may succeed in controlling what he says, but his eyes, his energy, and his pauses will speak the truth. This is why mindfulness is not only for meditation on the cushion. It is for life. It is for relationships. It is for seeing clearly without being deceived by words alone. If you train awareness, you will see the gaze that remembers you. You will feel the energy that shifts in your presence. You will hear the silence that carries unspoken longing. And then a question arises: what do you do with this awareness? The answer is simple. You do nothing except see clearly. Awareness is not always for action. Sometimes it is only for understanding. When you understand, you do not need to react. You simply see the truth and let it rest in your heart without confusion. So, ask yourself, when you look at the people in your life, what do their eyes reveal? What does their energy transmit? What does their silence hold? And perhaps more importantly, what do your own eyes, your own energy, your own silences reveal about you? To see these things is to walk in wisdom. To ignore them is to walk in blindness. And wisdom, once seen, cannot be unseen. It remains with you like a lantern, illuminating the quiet truths that others try to hide. There is a truth the body cannot conceal. Words may be trained, facial expressions may be controlled, but the breath always tells the story of the heart. When someone holds longing inside, it appears first in their breathing. A man who misses you may breathe more quickly when he sees you, as though his body has remembered you before his mind had time to form words. Or his breathing may slow, as though he wishes to lengthen every second of your presence. Breath is the rhythm of life, and in it, the rhythm of attachment is also revealed. When I train with students, I often tell them not to watch their opponent's hands, but to listen to their breath. The breath reveals intention before the body moves. A sudden inhale before an attack, a sharp exhale with effort, an uneven rhythm when the heart is unsettled. These things speak louder than posture. In the same way, if you pay close attention, you will notice that the breath of someone who misses you becomes unsettled in your presence. His control loosens for a moment because the heart has stepped forward. But you must learn to listen beyond your ears. Hearing breath is not always about sound. Sometimes it is a feeling. The way the chest rises a little more quickly, the way shoulders shift with nervousness, the way pauses in breathing seem to mark hesitation. These are subtle movements, but they speak. A restless heart always unsettles the breath. It is said that breath is the bridge between the body and the spirit. It carries the truth of what lies within. When a man misses you, the bridge wavers. He may try to steady it, but longing alters rhythm, just as wind alters the flame of a candle. Even when hidden, it flickers. Alongside breath, there are gestures that escape control. A man may choose words carefully, but his body will always reveal something more. The hands may fidget, adjusting a sleeve that needs no adjustment. The feet may shift direction, pointing unconsciously towards you. The body leans closer even while the mind insists on restraint. These unconscious gestures are like the small cracks in a mask through which light escapes. In martial discipline, we learn that the body is faster than the mind. A fighter may intend one movement, but the slightest shift of weight already reveals it. To the trained eye, the body tells the truth of intention before the opponent even begins. In daily life, this is no different. A man who misses you may cross his arms to appear distant, but his toes are angled toward you. He may pretend to be occupied with something else, yet his body turns slightly in your direction, pulled by an invisible thread. Think of the way a sunflower turns toward the sun. It does not announce its longing. It simply inclines toward light. The body does the same. Gestures lean toward what the heart desires. This is why the body cannot be ignored. It is always in service of the truth. And yet, gestures are not always movements of closeness. Sometimes the body reveals longing through restraint. He may quickly pull back his hand after almost reaching for you. He may fold his arms tightly, as though containing something he does not want to show. Even resistance is a sign, for the body would not resist unless something within was already pulling forward. When you observe gestures, you must do so without judgment. Do not analyze harshly. Simply notice. The way someone brushes their hair, the way their voice lowers when speaking to you, the way they shift when silence grows too long. These things speak more honestly than declarations. The body always betrays the heart. There is also silence, and silence is perhaps the most powerful messenger of all. Many fear silence, rushing to fill it with noise. But silence has weight. Silence reveals longing in ways that words cannot. A man who misses you may fall quiet in your presence, not because he has nothing to say, but because he feels too much. His silence is heavy, saturated with unspoken thought. In meditation, silence is the teacher. When you sit in stillness, the mind begins to reveal all it has been hiding. In relationships, silence is the same. It is not emptiness. It is full of meaning. The question is whether you can sit still long enough to feel what it holds. Imagine two people walking together without speaking. To an outsider, it may appear like distance. But to those two, the silence might be comfortable, filled with presence. Now imagine a man who misses you sitting in silence. He may avoid words because words feel insufficient. He may hesitate because speech risks exposure. Yet if you sit in awareness, you will feel that his silence is not the silence of indifference. It is the silence of weight, of thought, of feeling restrained, but not absent. There is an old story of a monk who visited his teacher. The monk wanted to ask many questions, but when he entered the room, he simply sat in silence. After a long while, he bowed and left. Another student asked, "Master, why did he not speak?" The teacher replied, "Because his silence was already full of answers." Longing works in this same way. The silence between two people often contains more truth than any conversation. When a man misses you, silence hangs in the air with a density that you can almost touch. His words may be simple, but the pauses after them linger. The stillness is alive, carrying what he does not express. To perceive this requires patience. It requires that you do not rush to cover silence, but allow it to unfold, like watching the surface of a still pond and seeing the reflection of the sky appear. If you begin to notice these things, the shifts in breath, the unconscious gestures, the weight of silence, you begin to see life more clearly. You see that the body and spirit cannot fully hide truth. Longing makes itself known, not always in grand gestures, but in subtle signals that anyone with mindfulness can recognize. But there is another dimension to this awareness. It is not only about seeing others, but about seeing yourself. Do you recognize how your own breath changes when you are near someone you miss? Do you notice how your own body leans forward without permission? Do you sense how your own silences grow heavy with unspoken words? The same signs you look for in others are present within you. Awareness must be turned both outward and inward. In relationships, wisdom comes not only from perceiving another's truth, but from perceiving your own. If you can observe yourself honestly, you will not be confused by your reactions. You will see how your breath betrays your longing, how your gestures reveal your affection, how your silences carry your unspoken feelings. In this way, you begin to master yourself rather than be mastered by hidden impulses. And so the teaching is simple: watch the breath, observe the body, listen to the silence. These three gateways reveal longing more clearly than words. If you can read them with calmness, you will not be deceived. And if you can see them within yourself, you will learn to live with greater authenticity. When a man misses you, he may not announce it, but his body will speak, his breath will shift, his silence will grow heavy. These are not things he can completely hide, because they are woven into the rhythm of life itself. They are natural expressions of connection. The more you train awareness, the more you will see that truth in relationships is rarely shouted. It is whispered in small movements, in pauses, in the way energy shifts in the air. These are the places where honesty hides. And for the one who is still enough to notice, nothing is ever truly concealed. Life has a way of testing us in ways we often don't anticipate. Sometimes the test does not arrive in the form of a catastrophe, but in the quiet erosion of our energy, our joy, and our ability to stand tall when circumstances feel overwhelming. There are seasons where people suddenly find themselves surrounded by those who misunderstand them, where their intentions are questioned, and where their very presence is treated as a threat by others. These moments can either diminish a person, leaving them bitter and resentful, or they can refine them into someone far stronger and wiser than before. The choice of how one responds will always determine whether these experiences become prisons or pathways. Imagine a woman who has carried herself with grace, strength, and quiet dignity. She does not seek attention, but simply by walking into a room, she shifts the atmosphere. Some notice her with admiration, while others feel unsettled in her presence without truly knowing why. Those who feel threatened by her may try to pull her down with words, gossip, or criticism. They might label her as too much, or too independent, or too unapproachable. But the truth is that her energy is simply different. She carries light that unconsciously exposes shadows in others, and those who are not ready to face their own insecurities will often project them back onto her. If she internalizes those projections, she risks dimming her own light. But if she recognizes that the discomfort she evokes in others is not a reflection of her worth, but rather of their unhealed parts, she frees herself from needing validation in order to stand tall. There is always a subtle but profound difference between being respected and being liked. People may not always like you, but they cannot deny the weight of authenticity when it is present. When someone operates from a place of integrity, consistency, and courage, the truth is felt. And though many may resist it, it leaves an impression that cannot easily be erased. Too often, we spend energy trying to explain ourselves, defend our decisions, or water ourselves down so that others will accept us. But every time you dilute your truth in order to fit into someone else's comfort zone, you betray yourself. You rob yourself of the strength that comes from standing firmly in who you are. The irony is that those who criticize the loudest often secretly admire the very qualities they attack. They see strength they wish they had, boundaries they wish they could hold, clarity they wish they possessed. But because envy is easier to express as judgment than as admiration, they choose to resist rather than to learn. And so a strong person becomes a mirror. Every person they encounter either accepts the reflection and grows, or rejects it and resents. This is why it is crucial to understand that not every negative reaction you receive is evidence that you are wrong. Sometimes it is simply proof that you are living at a level others have not yet reached. In those moments, the challenge is not to fight back with bitterness or to prove your worth through arguments, but to remain steady, anchored, and unmoved. There is greater power in silence than in shouting. Silence unsettles those who seek chaos. Silence disarms those who expect you to react. Silence creates space for clarity, both for you and for them. The more you master the art of holding your peace, the less control others have over your emotions. And when you hold your peace, you hold your power. Still, maintaining this posture requires more than outward composure. It requires inner discipline. It requires a heart that has resolved to stay soft in a world that often rewards hardness. It means choosing compassion over contempt, even when you are misunderstood. Because carrying resentment is like carrying a burning coal in your hands. It harms you more than it harms the one you are angry at. But when you learn to let go, when you release the need for revenge, when you decide that protecting your own energy is more valuable than winning an argument, you rise above the traps laid by those who wish to pull you down. Strength is not just about what you can endure, but about what you can release. Some people spend their whole lives trying to change others, trying to convince them to see their value, trying to gain approval that will never come. But true freedom is found when you stop needing everyone to understand you. The right ones will, the wrong ones won't. And you don't need to waste your years explaining your light to those committed to living in the dark. You simply continue walking in truth because your life speaks louder than explanations ever could. Another layer of this journey is learning how to channel the energy of pain into purpose. Every rejection, every betrayal, every misunderstanding has the potential to become fuel for growth. The key is refusing to let it calcify your heart. Too many give up after being wounded. They build walls so high that no one can get close, and in protecting themselves, they also imprison themselves. But there is a different way. Instead of hardening, you can allow the wound to make you more aware, more discerning, and more intentional. It is not about ignoring pain or pretending it doesn't exist. It is about transforming it. The very place where you were hurt can become the place where you grow the most resilient. Think of a seed. Before it can grow into a tree, it must be buried in the dark soil, pressed down by earth, unseen and alone. To the seed, it feels like an ending, but in reality, it is a beginning. The pressure, the darkness, the weight, all of it activates the potential hidden within. Without that season underground, the seed would never break open, and without breaking open, it would never reach the light. Your struggles are not meant to bury you, they are meant to plant you. But only if you choose to see them that way. Once you recognize that your challenges are shaping you, you stop resenting them and begin learning from them. You start asking, what is this experience teaching me? How is this pain refining me? What strength is this difficulty pulling out of me that I didn't know I had? Every time you rise, instead of breaking, you discover a new depth of resilience inside you. And that resilience becomes part of your character, making you someone who is unshakable in the face of future storms. But the most powerful transformation happens when you begin to realize that your resilience is not just for you, it is also for others. Every person you inspire by standing tall, every soul you touch by refusing to give up, every life you influence by being consistent in your strength, this is where your pain turns into purpose. You become proof that it is possible to rise from rejection, betrayal, and misunderstanding without losing yourself. You become a light for those still walking in their own darkness. The truth is, life will never stop testing you. The storms will come. The misunderstandings will happen. People will criticize, project, and misjudge. But when you learn to anchor yourself so deeply in your truth that no storm can uproot you, you become untouchable. You stop being tossed back and forth by opinions because you know who you are. You stop living for applause because you have found peace within yourself. And you stop fearing rejection because you understand that rejection is often redirection. What was once a source of pain becomes a source of wisdom. What once broke you now builds you. And what once silenced you now amplifies you. That is the power of standing firm in the face of resistance. That is the power of transforming pressure into strength. And that is the power of walking in truth, regardless of who understands or accepts it. Life has a way of revealing its truths in layers. What you see at the surface is rarely the complete picture. And often, what feels like a loss, a betrayal, or even a setback is actually a redirection towards something that was always meant for you. When people are removed from your life, it can feel painful, even unbearable at first. You may question yourself, wonder what you did wrong, or replay the memories in your head, trying to find the exact moment everything shifted. But what you don't realize in the moment is that absence is often a form of protection, and distance is sometimes the universe's way of clearing the space for what will truly nourish your soul. Those who walk away or expose their true nature are not robbing you. They are freeing you. Their absence is teaching you how to stand on your own, how to detach from illusions, and how to trust in the quiet hand of destiny guiding you forward. In those moments of confusion and loss, it is easy to mistake silence for abandonment. You may cry out for answers, but none seem to come. Yet silence is often an answer itself. It teaches patience. It teaches strength. It teaches you to look inward rather than outward for your validation and peace. When someone chooses to leave your life, it may feel like a rejection, but rejection is not always a curse. It can be a compass. It points you away from what is not aligned with your growth and towards the lessons you need most. Many of the people you grieve over were only ever meant to be temporary teachers, not lifelong companions. Their role was to awaken something in you, to reveal what you could endure, and to show you the value of your own spirit when tested. Think of the seasons. Trees lose their leaves, not because they are dying, but because new growth requires letting go. If a tree clung to every leaf that once gave it shade, it would never survive the winter. The same is true for us. We cannot cling to every person, every situation, or every version of ourselves we once knew. Growth demands release. Life prunes away what no longer serves you, so that you may bloom into who you were always meant to be. Holding on to what has already ended is like carrying branches that no longer belong to the tree. They only weigh you down. When someone's season in your life has come to an end, it is not your job to chase them. Your task is to remain rooted, to continue growing, and to trust that those who are truly aligned with your path will never require you to beg for their presence. Sometimes the removal of people is not about them being wrong, nor about you being wrong. It is about completion. Some bonds are not meant to be permanent. They serve their purpose and then dissolve. It is in our human nature to want permanence, to crave consistency, but life is not built on permanence. Life is movement, change, and flow. To resist change is to resist the very nature of existence. Those who cling to what has already expired end up missing the blessings that are waiting to be received. The person who left might have been keeping you from a higher connection. The job that ended may have been blocking you from your purpose. And the situation that collapsed might have been preventing you from stepping into your true power. The ending is never the ending. It is the bridge. There is also something powerful about betrayal. At first, betrayal feels like a knife to the heart. The sting of being lied to, used, or deceived can make you feel foolish for ever trusting. But in truth, betrayal is a teacher. It exposes what was hidden. It shows you who someone really is, rather than the mask they wore. And once the truth is revealed, you can never be deceived in the same way again. Betrayal is painful, but it is also purifying. It strips away illusions and forces you to develop sharper discernment. It teaches you that not everyone deserves access to your heart, and that your trust is not something to be handed out freely. It is something to be earned. The people who betray you are often the ones who sharpen your wisdom the most. Without them, you might never have learned to recognize authenticity from pretense, love from manipulation, or loyalty from convenience. What feels like the breaking of your heart is often the shaping of your character. Life does not harden you to make you bitter. It strengthens you so that you can withstand storms without crumbling. Think of how diamonds are formed. They are created under immense pressure, forged in conditions that would destroy lesser materials. The betrayal, the abandonment, the rejection you face, these are your precious. They are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to refine you. And once you emerge from them, you are not who you once were. You become unshakable in your truth, grounded in your worth, and selective with your energy. Another lesson hidden in loss is that not everything requires closure. We are conditioned to believe that every ending must be explained, that every goodbye should come with reasons. But the truth is, some doors close without explanation, and that in itself is the explanation. You do not need to reopen a door that has been sealed by the universe. The lack of closure is often what keeps people stuck, constantly revisiting the past in search of answers that will never come. But freedom is found in releasing the need for those answers. You do not need someone's apology to heal. You do not need someone's acknowledgement to move on. You do not need to revisit wounds in order to prove you were wronged. Your healing is your responsibility, and waiting for someone else to hand it to you only prolongs your pain. The beauty of this realization is that it places the power back into your hands. No matter who left, who betrayed, or who failed to see your worth, you are not powerless. You are not broken. You are evolving. Those who exit your life take with them the weight you no longer need to carry. Those who expose their true nature show you what you deserve to never accept again. And those who remain by your side through the storms remind you that genuine love is not fragile. It endures. So, instead of resenting those who walked away, thank them in silence. They taught you resilience. Instead of cursing those who betrayed you, honor the lessons they revealed. They sharpened your discernment. Instead of longing for closure, embrace the mystery of endings. They taught you to stand strong without needing every answer. Life is not punishing you when it removes people. It is shaping you, protecting you, and aligning you with a higher version of yourself. Every soul you encounter is part of your growth. Some are blessings, others are lessons, but all are necessary. When you can see life through this lens, you stop clinging to what is gone and start opening yourself to what is coming. You stop mourning the end of chapters and start anticipating the beauty of the next page. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start recognizing yourself as a student of wisdom. And in this state, you discover the most profound truth of all: nothing is ever truly lost. Everything transforms. Everything evolves. Everything leads you closer to where you are meant to be. Life has a way of revealing truths not through comfort, but through the storms that test our very foundation. It is often when we are most challenged that we begin to see the difference between what is temporary and what is eternal. Many people believe that strength is built in moments of calm, but true strength is refined in the fire of trials. Every difficult experience carries with it a hidden invitation, an opportunity to discover something about ourselves, about others, and about the spiritual order that guides life. The journey of growth is never accidental. It is intentional, and it demands that we pay attention to the lessons hidden within experiences we may at first want to escape. What begins as pain can transform into wisdom if we are willing to endure long enough to see beyond the suffering. Think of the times you have been betrayed, overlooked, or spoken against. In those moments, your heart may have cried for justice, or your mind may have sought revenge, but deeper than those impulses was an inner voice urging you to rise, to learn, to recognize that such experiences were never meant to destroy you. Instead, they were meant to refine your spirit, to strip away illusions, and to build a resilience that could not be formed any other way. When people treat you unfairly, they are unknowingly playing a role in your transformation, for they push you to find your true center where their actions no longer control your peace. The world is filled with distractions, voices that try to define you, expectations that attempt to limit you, and influences that tempt you to stray from your path. Yet, the deeper your awareness grows, the clearer it becomes that your path was never meant to mirror anyone else's. There is a unique rhythm to your existence, a divine flow that guides your steps, and the more you trust it, the more you recognize that everything happening around you is part of a greater orchestration. Those who oppose you are not obstacles but teachers. Those who walk away are not losses but redirections. Even silence, which may feel empty at times, is full of messages when you learn to listen with the heart instead of the ears. There is also a truth about energy that cannot be ignored. What you carry within will always manifest outwardly. A person who lives in bitterness will see betrayal everywhere. A person who nurtures gratitude will discover blessings in even the smallest details of life. Your internal atmosphere shapes your external reality. When you begin to master your own energy, you stop being tossed around by the moods of others. Instead, you become the steady presence that influences the space you enter. This is why spiritual discipline matters: meditation, reflection, prayer, stillness. These are not luxuries, but necessities if you wish to walk through life unshaken. They cultivate an inner strength that no insult, no rejection, and no disappointment can break. People often think they know themselves until they are tested. It is easy to claim patience when life flows smoothly, but real patience is proven when every nerve in your body wants to lash out and yet you remain calm. It is easy to say you are forgiving when no one has wounded you deeply, but true forgiveness is tested when the pain cuts into your very identity. Life exposes us, not to shame us, but to give us a chance to rise beyond the limits of the flesh. Every test is a mirror reflecting who we truly are, and each response shapes the person we are becoming. To ignore the lesson is to repeat the cycle, but to embrace it is to evolve into a higher version of yourself. Another profound realization is that people who cannot control you will often try to misrepresent you. They will twist your words, doubt your intentions, and spread their version of your story. But you must understand, perception is not reality, and their noise does not define your truth. The more energy you spend trying to correct every lie, the more you drain yourself of the strength meant to be used for your growth. Silence, though uncomfortable, is often the most powerful response. Time has a way of exposing what is real, and those who misjudged you will eventually see what they could not before. Your responsibility is not to fight every battle, but to protect your spirit so you remain aligned with your higher calling. At times, loneliness becomes part of the path, not because you are unworthy of connection, but because separation is necessary for revelation. When you are surrounded by constant voices, you cannot hear your own. But when life pulls you into solitude, it is preparing you to see beyond the surface of things. Many people fear being alone, but solitude is never empty when you learn to see it as sacred. It is the place where clarity grows, where strength deepens, and where your spirit reconnects with its source. The silence you resist often holds the answers you seek. It is in the stillness that you realize you were never truly alone. Divine presence has always walked with you, waiting for you to notice. The essence of wisdom lies in realizing that everything is temporary, yet nothing is wasted. Every smile, every tear, every setback, every victory, all of it weaves into the tapestry of your becoming. The pain that once made you question your worth eventually becomes the reason you value yourself more deeply. The doors that closed, which once made you doubt your future, later reveal that you are being guided to a better path. And the people who left, whom you thought you needed, become the reason you discover your own independence. Life's design is flawless, though it rarely feels that way in the moment. It is only when you look back that you recognize how perfectly everything had to unfold for you to reach the place where you now stand. Do not despise your challenges. Do not curse the people who wronged you. Do not resist the solitude you are being called into. Instead, see them as hidden blessings, as necessary parts of your training. Life is shaping you, carving away what is unnecessary, strengthening what is weak, and refining what is pure. And while others may not understand your journey, they are not meant to. The clarity is for you, the growth is for you, and the strength being built within you is for the path ahead. What may feel heavy now will one day be your testimony, and what may seem confusing now will one day be your wisdom. When you embrace this perspective, nothing is wasted and nothing is lost. Every wound becomes wisdom, every delay becomes direction, and every trial becomes testimony. The true power lies not in escaping life's challenges, but in allowing them to shape you without breaking you. This is how you rise, not by avoiding the fire, but by walking through it and coming out refined, stronger, and clearer than ever before. Life has a way of revealing truths to those who are ready to receive them. Many times, the challenges you face, the betrayals you endure, and the storms you walk through are not punishments, but revelations. They are divine signals meant to expose what could no longer remain hidden and to awaken you to realities you would not have otherwise seen. It is during such moments that you realize people are not always who they present themselves to be, and not every voice that speaks kindness into your life has pure intentions. Some speak to manipulate, some smile to disguise, and some walk beside you only because of what they gain from your presence. But once seasons shift, once light pierces through darkness, once your spirit rises into higher awareness, their true nature is unmasked. The pain you feel when you discover deceit or disloyalty is not wasted pain. It is sacred teaching. It teaches you that discernment is one of the most valuable gifts you could ever develop. It teaches you that when God is preparing to elevate you, He will often separate you from those who are not meant to carry the weight of your blessing. You cannot climb mountains while holding the hands of people who are only designed for valleys. This is why certain friendships collapse, certain relationships dissolve, and certain circles close off without explanation. It is not rejection, it is redirection. When people reveal their true selves, you must allow yourself to see it for what it is. Do not romanticize it, do not excuse it, and do not attempt to repaint the colors of their character. If someone shows you envy, believe it. If someone shows you greed, believe it. If someone repeatedly undermines you, dismisses your worth, or speaks against your vision, you must believe them. Too many people waste years trying to convince themselves that toxic behaviors are temporary, that hurtful patterns will shift, that love will conquer abuse. But love is not meant to degrade, respect is not meant to diminish, and loyalty is not meant to betray. When people expose their truth through their actions, that is your permission to stop denying what your spirit has been trying to tell you. The challenge comes because we often hold on to the image of what we wish people were instead of accepting the reality of what they are. We see potential, we remember good moments, we cling to shared history, and we believe that time will redeem what is broken. But spiritual wisdom calls us to release illusions. It calls us to walk in truth, even when truth is heavy. It calls us to understand that some people come into your life only for a season, and trying to extend their stay beyond that season is what causes unnecessary suffering. There is a divine timing to everything, and when God allows someone's mask to fall, it is your responsibility not to put it back on for them. At the same time, as you awaken to the truth about others, you must also awaken to the truth about yourself. Every betrayal you endure also reveals to you the depths of your own resilience. Every rejection shows you how much you depended on approval. Every loss highlights where your identity has been entangled with what was never meant to define you. In this way, the exposure of others is also the exposure of your inner self. You begin to see your own patterns, your own attachments, your own blind spots. This is where healing becomes transformation. Because once you learn not only who they are, but also who you are without them, you reclaim your power. You cannot walk in the fullness of your calling while dragging old chains of bitterness and unforgiveness. People will wrong you, and yes, they will intentionally harm you. But you must decide, will their actions cage you, or will they free you? To hold on to resentment is to keep drinking poison, expecting it to wound someone else. To forgive is not to excuse, it is to release. Forgiveness allows your spirit to breathe again, to move freely into new seasons without carrying yesterday's weight. This is how you rise, by refusing to let the pain define you, but instead letting it refine you. Consider this: when you are aligned with your higher purpose, you will notice that those who cannot match your energy will become uncomfortable around you. They may criticize, they may mock, they may attempt to sabotage. This is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It is a reflection of the shadows within them that your light exposes. Do not dim your brilliance to make others feel secure in their mediocrity. Do not shrink to fit into spaces you have outgrown. Instead, stand firm in your authenticity, knowing that divine alignment always brings divine protection. This journey is not about proving anyone wrong. It is not about revenge, nor is it about validation. It is about walking in the quiet confidence that the truth always rises and the truth always sustains. Lies eventually collapse under the weight of their own deception. Masks eventually slip because they are too heavy to carry forever. What is real endures, and what is false eventually falls away. That is why your task is simply to keep showing up as your authentic self, to keep doing the work of growth, and to keep trusting that those who are meant to walk with you will never need to disguise themselves to remain in your presence. Life has a mysterious way of positioning you. What once looked like a devastating loss eventually becomes the very thing that propels you forward. What once felt like betrayal becomes the reason you discover deeper levels of strength. What once seemed like abandonment becomes the opportunity for divine intimacy. And what once broke your heart eventually shapes your wisdom. Every ending you face is a beginning in disguise, and every exposure you witness is protection in its purest form. So, when you stand at the crossroads of pain and revelation, choose to rise. Do not beg for explanations from those who have already revealed their lack of care. Do not wait for apologies from those who never valued your spirit. Do not chase closure in doors that God has already sealed shut. Instead, take a step forward. Trust the path ahead, even if it is unfamiliar. Trust the voice within you, even if it leads you away from the familiar crowd. Trust the divine timing that knows exactly when to remove certain people so that your destiny can unfold without delay. You are not alone in this journey. Every soul who has walked through betrayal, heartbreak, or disappointment has stood where you stand, and just like them, you will rise. You will see the purpose in your pain. You will discover the beauty in your resilience. You will learn to love again, to trust again, to walk with wisdom instead of fear. And when you look back, you will not curse those who hurt you. You will thank them. Because without their actions, you would not have discovered the depth of your own power, the strength of your own spirit, or the clarity of your own vision. And that is the gift hidden inside the exposure of others. It is not just about them. It is about you. It is about who you become in the process. It is about the way your spirit sharpens, your mind strengthens, and your heart expands. It is about walking forward lighter, freer, and more aligned than ever before. It is about realizing that no matter who left, no matter who betrayed, no matter who failed to honor you, you are still standing. And more than that, you are rising into a version of yourself that no mask, no lie, and no betrayal could ever diminish. Life has a way of testing the depths of one's spirit through circumstances that often feel too heavy for one heart to bear. In those moments when the world seems cold and unfair, when people betray the very loyalty you gave freely, or when everything you've built starts to crumble, you are not simply facing hardship, you are being refined. It is in these trials that the strength of your character is revealed and the clarity of your path is sharpened. The storms are not there to break you, but to strip away what no longer serves you, so the truest essence of who you are can rise from within. Every soul who walks this earth will encounter betrayal, loss, disappointment, and rejection. These moments are universal, yet the way they shape a person is not. Some allow these wounds to fester, turning bitterness into their daily companion. Others choose a higher road, the path of transformation, where every scar becomes not a mark of shame, but a symbol of endurance and rebirth. The difference lies in perspective. To see your pain not as punishment, but as preparation, not as destruction, but as direction, requires a vision beyond the immediate hurt. It demands faith. Faith that what you have endured has meaning, even when the meaning has not yet revealed itself. There is a powerful truth hidden in pain. It will either imprison you or liberate you. When betrayal strikes, when love is taken from your hands, or when dreams dissolve before your eyes, you stand at a crossroads. One path leads to self-pity, resentment, and stagnation. The other demands courage, acceptance, and the willingness to grow. Choosing the latter is not easy. It asks you to forgive when you have every reason to harden your heart, to trust again when trust has been broken, and to keep moving when all you want to do is give up. But it is this very choice that separates those who stay trapped in cycles of suffering from those who rise above them and step into the fullness of their destiny. You must learn to understand that every ending carries within it the seed of a new beginning. What feels like the collapse of everything familiar is often the removal of illusions, attachments, and false securities that were never meant to last. Life closes doors not to punish you, but to redirect you. The relationship that shattered you was never meant to define you. The betrayal that cut deep was a revelation of truth, sparing you from building your future on lies. The loss you grieve today may be the very space needed for something greater to enter tomorrow. When you shift your perspective from asking, "Why me?" to "What is this teaching me?" you reclaim your power, because you are no longer the victim of life. You are the student of it. Resilience is born in these fires. It is not something you can read about or wish into existence. It is forged only through the lived experience of pain, through walking through nights where sleep is impossible and mornings feel empty. Yet each day you continue to rise. You prove to yourself that you are stronger than you believed. This is how resilience embeds itself into your being. It becomes part of your very breath, part of the way you carry yourself, part of the way you face whatever life brings next. You realize that storms no longer scare you because you have walked through fire and emerged still standing. But resilience alone is not enough. You must also cultivate discernment. When life has broken you and rebuilt you, it gifts you with eyes that see differently. You are no longer easily deceived by false words or superficial charm because you recognize energy, intention, and patterns that others overlook. Your pain has made you sensitive, not weak. It has heightened your awareness, teaching you to protect your heart without closing it, to give without being exploited, and to love without losing yourself. You begin to understand that strength is not about hardening, but about balancing openness with wisdom. The journey of transformation through suffering is also a journey of shedding the old version of yourself that was too attached to approval, too willing to settle for less, too afraid of being alone. The trials you endured forced you to confront those parts of yourself and let them die. In their place, a new version emerges, stronger, wiser, and aligned with a deeper purpose. This version of you no longer begs for validation because it knows its worth. This version of you no longer fears solitude because it has discovered the richness of its own company. This version of you no longer clings to people who drain it because it has learned that peace is more valuable than empty connection. And yet, even with this new strength, the world will continue to test you. Life never stops presenting challenges because growth is an endless process. But the difference now is that you no longer see these challenges as threats. You see them as invitations, opportunities to expand, to deepen, to sharpen. You no longer ask, "How can I avoid pain?" Instead, you ask, "How can I rise through it?" This shift is what transforms an ordinary existence into a life of mastery. Every time you survive what was meant to destroy you, you not only elevate yourself, you also become a light for others. Your journey becomes proof that healing is possible, that strength is possible, that joy after heartbreak is possible. You no longer inspire others by your perfection, but by your scars, by your ability to walk through the same fires they fear and emerge radiant. This is the silent gift of suffering. It equips you to guide others who are still lost in the dark. But you must remember, transformation is not passive. It requires choice, effort, and faith. You cannot cling to old wounds and expect to grow. You cannot repeat the same patterns and expect different outcomes. You cannot surround yourself with those who diminish you and expect to rise. At some point, you must decide that your life is worth more than repeating cycles of pain. You must decide to step away from what no longer aligns with your highest self. You must decide to protect your energy, to honor your journey, and to demand more from life. That decision is the true beginning of freedom. And when you finally reach this state of clarity, you begin to live differently. You no longer rush because you trust timing. You no longer chase because you understand that what is aligned with you will remain. You no longer fear loss because you know that nothing real can ever be taken from you. This way of living is not detached. It is empowered. It is living with faith that the universe, God, or destiny is always guiding you toward what is meant for you, even if the road is paved with pain. The deepest truth is this: the suffering you endure is not wasted. Every tear waters the soil of your becoming. Every heartbreak cracks open the shell around your soul, allowing light to enter. Every disappointment dismantles illusions, forcing you closer to authenticity. What feels unbearable today will one day become the wisdom that carries you. What feels like loss will one day reveal itself as liberation. You may not see it now, but you are being shaped into someone who cannot be easily shaken, someone who radiates strength without even speaking, someone whose very presence inspires hope. So, when life tests you again, and it will, remember this: you are not being punished, you are being prepared. You are not being abandoned, you are being aligned. You are not being destroyed, you are being reborn. Hold your head high even when it trembles. Walk forward even when the path is unclear. Trust that every step, every wound, and every challenge is carving you into the masterpiece you were always meant to become. That is the power of transformation through pain. That is the true victory of the human spirit. Life often brings us to moments where the weight of the world feels unbearable, where the uncertainty of the future presses upon us, and where the people around us fail to meet the standards we know we deserve. In these moments, many turn outward, seeking answers in explanations, in apologies, or in the behavior of others. Yet, true understanding comes when we turn inward. It is in the quiet reflection of our own heart and mind that clarity emerges. The external world is ever changing, unpredictable, and often harsh. But the inner world can remain steady, luminous, and aligned when cultivated with intention and awareness. Consider the energy you carry each day. It is not always visible, but it is always felt. People respond not just to your words, but to your presence, your attention, and the vibrations you emit. When you are at peace within yourself, even the storms of life do not shake you. When your energy is unsteady, even small provocations can feel catastrophic. This is why mastery over oneself is the foundation of every meaningful relationship and every fulfilled life. The more you understand your own energy, the more you recognize the subtle cues in others. When someone is present from love or from selfishness, when someone is aligned with your growth or misaligned with your purpose. In relationships, it is easy to be deceived by words. Anyone can say what is pleasing, manipulate emotions, or promise what they do not intend to fulfill. But energy does not lie. It speaks in silence, in attention, and in consistency. When a person truly misses you, it is not in grand gestures alone. It is in their energy, how they think of you in quiet moments, how their choices reflect your value, and how they carry your memory without being asked. You can sense it even when they are silent, because true longing leaves traces in the soul that words cannot disguise. This is why mindfulness in observing behavior, rather than simply listening to promises, is a path to clarity. Notice in your own life, when someone values you, it is consistent, even if subtle. When someone's presence matters, they will find ways to connect, to consider, and to protect what they have with you. Absence, inconsistency, and neglect are often signals that attachment is superficial, even if affection was expressed in words. Life is teaching you to distinguish between appearances and reality, between the mask and the heart. The more attuned you become to these signals, the less likely you are to invest in what is fleeting, and the more likely you are to align with what is real. There is a wisdom in observation that cannot be overstated. Watch the way someone treats those who cannot benefit them. Watch how they respond when there is no audience. Watch how their energy flows when they believe no one is paying attention. These are the truest indicators of character. Many people excel in performance, but very few maintain integrity in private. Those who truly miss and value you will exhibit the same care, respect, and consideration even when there is no external pressure to do so. Their energy is steady, their heart is consistent. Learning to recognize this is a form of spiritual and emotional literacy that protects you from unnecessary pain. Equally, it is essential to protect your own energy. When someone is absent, dismissive, or harmful, do not take it as a reflection of your worth. Their inability to align with your value is a reflection of their own limitations, not a judgment on your light. The energy you invest should always be reciprocated, and when it is not, it is a signal to reallocate that energy toward your own growth, peace, and purpose. This is not selfishness, it is wisdom. It is the practice of harmonizing your internal state with the external environment, so that you do not become depleted by forces that neither nurture nor respect you. Consider the metaphor of a garden. If you plant seeds in barren soil, no matter how much care you give, the growth will be stunted. But when you plant in fertile soil, watered with intention, nourished by light, and protected from harsh elements, life flourishes. People who enter your life are like seeds. Some bring growth, some bring decay. Your responsibility is to discern which seeds to nurture and which to let go, and to cultivate your inner garden with care, so that only what is life-giving takes root. Neglect this, and weeds of resentment, fear, and confusion take over. Tend it wisely, and your life becomes abundant, radiant, and resilient. Another layer of mastery is understanding timing. Many desire immediate signs, instant clarity, or quick resolution, but life unfolds according to a rhythm that often cannot be rushed. Someone's absence may feel painful, but it may be a necessary space for perspective, reflection, and realignment. Similarly, patience is not passive waiting. It is active preparation. It is the cultivation of strength, clarity, and discernment, so that when the right opportunity, person, or moment appears, you are ready to respond from a place of power, not neediness. Life rewards those who harmonize with its flow rather than resist it. The discipline of emotional regulation is also central. When you encounter disappointment or unreciprocated care, it is natural to feel sadness, anger, or frustration. These emotions are valid, but they must not become prisons. Observe them without attachment, allow them to pass through, and extract the wisdom they carry. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can this experience strengthen my boundaries, sharpen my intuition, and deepen my understanding of what I deserve? Emotional discipline transforms reactive pain into reflective insight, and insight into wisdom. In all of this, remember that energy is contagious. When you cultivate peace, presence, and alignment, you attract those who resonate with that vibration. When you dwell in fear, resentment, or uncertainty, you unconsciously draw more of the same. Therefore, the practice of mindfulness in your own state becomes a magnet for authentic relationships. The people who are meant to be in your life will be drawn not merely by your words, but by the integrity of your energy, by the consistency of your character, and by the calm strength of your presence. Ultimately, life is a continuous lesson in balance. You are learning to give without losing yourself, to love without compromising your worth, to observe without attaching, and to grow through every experience without being consumed by it. Every person who comes and goes, every challenge you face, and every moment of stillness is shaping your capacity for understanding, for love, and for mastery. You are not here merely to react to the world. You are here to transform through it, to see clearly, to act wisely, and to align with what truly matters. The people who truly miss you will reveal it not through declarations, but through energy, intention, and consistency. Those who do not will reveal it in their absence, distraction, and disconnection. In both cases, the lesson is the same. I recognize truth, honor your own energy, and continue to rise with patience, discernment, and grace. Through this understanding, you come to live a life unshakable by deception, untouched by superficiality, and deeply aligned with authenticity. You move through the world with clarity, confidence, and quiet strength, drawing toward you what is real and releasing what is not. In this way, every experience, every person, and every challenge serves your evolution. You learn not just to survive, but to thrive, not just to exist, but to live fully, deeply, and harmoniously. And in doing so, you discover the most profound truth of all. When you honor your energy, understand the signals around you, and align with the rhythm of life, you are never truly alone, and you are always exactly where you are meant to be.